Good evening. What's up, Hope Shot fan? Welcome back to another Sunday Night Live. If you're just jumping on, say what's up. Let us know you're here, man. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did, full of activities that I had to walk. I walked the parade, man. My ankle. I woke up this morning and I couldn't even walk. Thank God I could walk right now for the moment, but man, I was in a lot of pain this morning. But it was such a great time, man. Being in a community parade, handing out beads, giving it. It was such an awesome time. Hey, Caesar, will you read that clarity statement for me, please?
I would love to. I wouldn't want to stress your ankle out with all this.
Yeah, you're stressing it out, bro.
The Hope Shot clarity statement. We here at the Hope Shot are a group of people in recovery spreading inspiration. We come from all different walks of life and pathways of recovery. Our verbiage may be different at times, but we all have one thing in common: recovery as a lifestyle. We support all pathways of recovery. It doesn't matter how you get from A to Z, just get there. And thank you for being a part of our Hope Shot family.
Thank you, Caesar. So tonight's topic, man, I've been getting a lot of things from other people, like it's going to be identity crisis. And the reason I wanted to do this is because I know a few people, man, that are like in a crisis mode, and they don't even know it. To be honest with you, they don't even know they're in crisis mode, because our identity lies in either a human being, a relationship, a job. I mean, there's so many things that we can take that and use for who we are as individuals. And then when you take that away from us, what are we? It strips us of our only identity that we've ever known. And when that happens, man, it's like we're in this crisis mode. And what's our solution? It's either we find our another purpose of who we are, like what we want to do. It's not necessarily who we are, but that's an internal thing. And if you don't have a strong recovery program, you know what I mean? Like, I know people that have been in recovery for a long time, and then, they get their identity taken away and they don't have a strong program like they used to, like back in the day. And then they resort in going backwards, and it sucks because I've seen this happen a lot, and even me and Nate were having a discussion last week, man. It's like our plates get less full, man. Our things kind of operate on their own. And then next thing you know, we're searching for something to fill our time. You know what I mean? Idle hands is what I call that. You know what I mean? Like, what do we do with ourselves? So we have to find that next thing. Well, sometimes, man, that could look, that whatever it looks like, the substance might be an option, because we're bored or we don't have what we used to have, or it's literally like a crisis mode when it's really not. We just got to figure out what it looks like. I want to say what's up to some people real quick. We got Michael Davidson on here. What's up, my friend? We got Karen. Good to see you here. Shared out. Thank you so much. We got Raylene. Hey, good to see you. And she says it's a good topic. Yes, it is. I'm telling you, it's been brought up numerous times. I just feel like it's a great topic to talk about. And we have Dustin here. Love you guys. Shared excellent topic for me to shut up and listen. My man. Let's see. We got Lauren shout out from Bushnell, Florida. 1 week and 3 hours and 59 minutes from a year clean. Congratulations. I never get to catch these because of work and I'm driving. I can't participate fully, but I wanted to thank you all immensely for what you do and for still doing it. Much love and thank you for the support. If you're just getting into recovery, it is possible. I have to tell myself frequently, get up and get up. Not because I want to use, but it's a new habit of just doing life and everything I can in it. Get up, and it's a long message, so I can't see the end of it. But that is great, and congratulations on your year. Let's see. So, if anybody wants to share in this, just unmute yourself real quick. Who wants to start first? Oh, man, jumping. Nate, I'm just going to pick you, bro. Listen, you can share on that. You can share on whatever you want.
No, I got plenty to say about this.
Okay, I thought so.
Indecisive, alcoholics and addicts, no, this is a very good topic, man. I'll bring it back like I like to do, to like when I first began my recovery journey, because how did I figure out who I was and what I wanted and my purpose after, drugs and alcohol and self-centeredness like ruled my life for 2+ decades, like so I have this one solution, the only thing that I ever knew that actually worked to make me, either not feel or feel something other than. And so I come into recovery and I am stripped of my solution. Um, and I am completely at a loss on who I am. What do I do next? I'm left pretty naked and exposed, because like I've had this, ability to mask, my true nature and who I really am. And now that, all this stuff is exposed, like, I'm in a search like to discover exactly what happens next and what my role is, and my place is in this world, and that's got to be one of the most terrifying experiences. It's like, um who am I? I think it's you know a, a lifelong question, for lots of people, like who am I and what is my purpose here? And the beautiful thing about recovery is through the process and through a lot of time and effort, I was able to discover just that, and who I thought I wasn't, and what I thought I was meant to do, I was meant to do something else. And the cool thing about it is, a few years later, I'm still seeking for, that truth, and still, asking questions and still trying to get to the bottom of, like, who I am truly. Um, what I discovered though early on is one of the greatest gifts that recovery has really afforded me, basically, is is the discovery of my purpose. Because in that discovery, you know um it is really difficult for me to get lost in that identity crisis, because my identity, I found, is a person in recovery that carries a message that is able to save somebody that is unable to save themselves. And my purpose is to help somebody else recover. That is my greatest purpose. It is my sole purpose for, surviving through my years of alcoholism and addiction. And what a gift, because guess what? Not many people in this world get to discover that purpose. They'll search their entire lives and maybe find it later on. But here I am, in the middle of my life with clear direction of not only who I am, but what I'm supposed to do here. And the freedom that's exists in that knowledge and in that awareness, um, is one of the most miraculous things I feel recovery has to offer. So, but still, like, um, here I am, a few years into this thing, and I'm still like, like just this last Friday, I went and saw a therapist for the first time ever, because I am still trying to figure out pieces of me that I don't understand, and that and I'm still trying to, unravel some of the trauma that was, mostly self-inflicted, but also inflicted through the environments that I existed in for so damn long. And which is funny because, like, and we're talking about this today because, I mean, what better way to figure out, my identity, who I am, than delving into my mind and figuring out, some of those subconscious, hangups that are still plaguing me and still causing me nightmares and the PTSD and whatnot. But yeah, so like, yeah, and then we get further along in recovery, and we get busy, right? We have a lot of responsibility. The obsession, thankfully, has been lifted to use drugs or alcohol. But then I'm left with, you know, who I am, which is a hot mess in itself. Take away the substances, I'm still crazy as ever. I'm still insecure. I'm still full of fear. And guess what? I'm still selfish and self-centered. I don't really abide in that or like live in those defects like I used to, but there's still a constant presence in my life that I have to work on removing, and like Justin was saying, I have a business, and I've been building it up to a point where I can have some more freedom to focus on the Hope Shot and other activities that that are my true passion. And so I'm not working like a normal schedule, and for a guy like me, without structure, without routine, I can tend to get a little aimless and out of sorts. So what do I do? What how do I navigate that? Like, um how am I okay with not being okay? And the answer is, the very thing that got me sober is the very thing that will carry me through all these situations or problems or adversities. It's first and foremost is a constant conscious contact with my source. Without that, I am completely lost. And secondly is a constant connection with my fellows and my network. Because without that, how am I going to be held accountable? And then lastly, and maybe you know just kind of as important as the others, is constant work with others. There is it's elegant in its simplicity, like the tools that I have to use on a daily basis. But if I don't do these simple things, my life will become completely chaotic. And not in the sense like I'm going to burn my life to the ground today, but in the sense that I'm going to be living in that same prison I was prior to me getting sober. And the whole point for me of being in recovery is not to be miserable, not to be irritable, restless, and discontent, but to be living free and with peace of mind and serenity. Is that always the case? Absolutely not, but thank God for the humility to understand that I am merely scratching the surface, that there is tons of work to do, that who I am today um, is liable to change tomorrow. And for the open mindedness, and again, the humility to understand that I am not going to be perfect, and I don't have to be perfect. But what I have to do perfectly is continue doing this work, because if I don't, I am going to quickly lose my sense of self and not know who I am. And my solution lies in the work, in my discipline to adhere to this strict, like this set of spiritual principles that have not only freed me from the obsession of drugs and alcohol in the beginning, but also um, saved me from myself, and gave me all the tools I need to navigate through this life with character and with dignity and with grace, kindness, compassion. And yeah, I still struggle, man. I still struggle with, I think, and I'd be remiss to not mention at this point, like when I think of identity crisis, I think of imposter syndrome, like I will feel like I am a phony, a lot, like what am I doing in this situation? We're at this brunch last Thursday, there's judges, there's governors, there's, politicians. And it's like, here I am, I'm like, what am I doing here? And I could be quick to, I can regress in those environments quickly to those self-limiting thoughts and beliefs. And I can start questioning, like, who am I? What am I doing here? Until somebody comes up and says, Nathan, we love the work you're doing. We would love to work with you. Thank you for being a part of our community. And it's just mind blowing, and it's validating, because, just when I think that I don't belong somewhere, someone will come up and remind me that I'm exactly where I belong. And thankfully, I have a solution today. And in those moments of self-doubt and feeling like an imposter or like I don't belong, I am able to check myself. If what the beauty about it is with the friends I have, if I don't check myself, they'll check me. And how do they do that? How do they know? It was because I am in constant contact with them. I am writing inventories every night. I am sending gratitude lists out in the morning. I am busy in my program of action to ensure that when these dark moments come, which they inevitably are going to, it's not if, it's when. They're, it's just a part of life, in recovery or not, that I am equipped to deal with life, I have a fighting chance today, and I have a foundation to stand upon in my faith, in my source, and in my constant diligent work with my fellows and with others. To it just gives me freedom. It gives me an opportunity to continue to grow, to understand that there is plenty of room to grow, that it's not a one and done deal. This is a lifelong journey that I will continuously be evolving in. And in that growth, to give myself a break and not kick myself in the teeth all too much when I don't get everything right. Yeah. Is that a good?
Yes. And dude, I want to point out one thing real quick. And I love how you said that imposter syndrome, right? Because when I coming into recovery, right? Like, all I know is drugs. Like, all I know is the party. All I know is this dude that like the drugs made me this person that I wasn't. I was confident I could dance. You know what I mean? Like, shit like that. The alcohol, I could dance, I could do anything, I could talk to any girl, I could do whatever. It made me who I was. It was part of my DNA, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, and then coming into recovery, trying to like be something else. I've only known drugs and alcohol for 23 years of my life. And then coming into this deal with all these people, and you're like in their crew and their clique, and like it's almost like coming into a new tribe. You know what I mean? Like, so like coming into this thing, it's like that imposter syndrome was freaking so prevalent in my life. Like, I felt like a phony, a fake, especially with anything new, doing anything new. I always feel like a phony. So I I overextend myself into this newness of life, and I overdo it, or I want to freaking impress people or people please or whatever else it is. And it like screws me up, man. It really does. So, I that's where like the whole, that identity crisis comes into play. You know what I mean? Like, and the new things in life, figuring it out and like examining it, putting it into like this roadmap, I guess you could say, and then just going at it, but a lot of people get lost in the sauce is what I call it. You know what I mean? They get lost in the sauce, man, and they stirred it up a little too much, man. Now it's freaking all over the place. I'm gonna read some comments real quick, and then I'm gonna it's either Mike or Caesar we can share on this. You guys can like just unmute yourself after I read the comments if you guys want to share on it. Let's see. We got Jamie in the house. What's up, Jamie? Good to see you here. We got Sandra on YouTube. I love that perspective, Nate. Having freedom is different than actually walking in it. I love that. We got Raylene. He says, I didn't find my identity until I found God. I know my purpose. I don't need the world's approval on who they want me to be. I have God's approval, and that's all that matters for me. Let's see. We got Mike Davidson says recovery is all about discovery, and now being in this life-changing and lifelong process, we get the power of choice to change that and change perception of who I thought I was. In a world full of lollipops today, I am not a sucker. I love that. We got Dustin says imposter syndrome has been my biggest struggle lately, like really bad to where it cripples my thought process and gives me terrible anxiety. I 1000% relate.
Hey, Justin, can I say something about that real quick?
I don't know, man. I'll think about it. I'll get back to you.
No. About Dustin's comment, because at our Christmas party on Friday, I saw Dustin and another friending this deal at the meeting outside of it, and they were working in the capacity of a treatment center, and I saw them, and I was just like blown away. Like, here they are, you know, just like a year later, you know, at working at a treatment center, you know, helping others find their way, just like they found theirs. And I just thought it was a powerful moment. I wanted to just say I'm super proud of Dustin and the growth. I understand and relate to that feeling where you're at, but I promise you, I couldn't think of a better person to be in that capacity. You're a stand-up guy. You're amazing. And I'm so excited to see your journey and to see where it takes you next. That's all.
Definitely, man. Dustin. Yeah. Don't ever let that crippling anxiety overtake you. That's the thing is, you know, I get anxiety all the time, crippling. It used to be really bad, especially first in recovery, dude. And I threw myself into situations that I hated, but I did it anyways. And it gets better. It gets better over time. And then it's eventually you're going to be like, man, I almost didn't do this. You know what I mean? I almost missed the boat, you know? So good for you, man. Let's see. We got, Sandra says self-examination is key. Love that. We got Karen says, in my famous words of my apostle, we all are far from perfect, and we all need a good checkup from the neck up sometimes. I love it. Jamie says, need to hear this today, and so grateful for y'all. Thank you, Hope Shot. You're welcome, Jamie. Thanks for being here. And we got Raylene says, yes, so proud of you, Dustin. And then I want to say what's up to Shannon Decker. Good to see you here. And I'm going to let Mike, man. I'm going to let Mike share on this. Big Daddy Mikey. Oh.
What's up? So I'm going to go negative about the identity crisis thing and the imposter syndrome. So for me, I remember coming into the rooms a few years ago, and I didn't think I had done enough dirt to belong. So that was kind of an identity crisis for me. It was like an imposter type deal. Like I felt like I was fake, right? Like being in the rooms around all these people with these horrible stories and all these horrible things that have happened to them, and maybe things that they had done that I couldn't relate to. So it felt like I didn't quite belong. And I feel like I let my own head keep me out, you know, a little bit longer than I needed to be on Mission Impossible because of it. But then when I think of identity crisis, I also think about the year I had sober and trying to figure out where I was at. Like sobriety for me is not enough. I gotta do some kind of recovery. I gotta work a program. I gotta work with my sponsor. I gotta make calls and not just listen to what people say. I gotta do what they say too. You know what I mean? And for me, trying to figure out where the hell I fit in all that. Like I'm a dad. I've been a dad for 14 years. I had a kind of a stepson scenario before that. So for 17 years consecutively, my whole identity has been raising kids, being a dad, going to work, coming home. And that's what you do. You go to work, you come home, you make a bottle, change a diaper. Is this piss? Why is this piss? Like that's been my whole life for the last, 17 years. So when I got into recovery, like when I actually got sober this time, it was like, holy shit, who am I? Like, what am I? Who am I? Where do I go? What do I do? And, my wife at the time did the best she could with what she had. I know the guys around me are tired of hearing about it, but I was miserable, man. I didn't know where I was at. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it, or I did know and didn't do it, or I'm just trying to acclimate to sobriety was so weird for me at first. And I had no idea who I was. I was completely lost. So falling back into those old behaviors, you know what I mean? You get up, you go to work, you come home. Is this piss? Is that piss? Like that's the same thing repeatedly. And I got lost in that, man. Like you say, Justin, lost in the sauce. I don't know where to, I don't know where recovery fits in that, or I don't know how to make this fit. And instead of making it fit, I just did the same old shit. I did the same thing I always did before. Instead of adapting and trying to figure out a new way to live and try to make recovery fit into my life, I tried to, do the same old shit. So after my relapse, I had to get serious. I lost everything this time. I lost my house. I lost my wife. I lost my kids. It's all gone. So now I'm rebuilding my identity. Like I'm in the early stages of what you guys have all gone through. You know what I mean? And it's super humbling for me and exactly what I needed. And the opposite of what I wanted. So that should have been the first indicator for me, like, this is what you need, because it's not at all what I wanted. So listening to the guy that, got me here, the last guy I got high with, it's hard to be open-minded and say, okay, well, who am I now? Like, okay, so I know that I'm Mike still, but where am I going to be, next week as far as my trade goes, or what job am I going to have? Those things are all going to change. I'm still going to be a dad. Eventually I'm going to be somebody's husband again. Right. What does that look like? Like, where do I fit in all that? And so, like I said, I'm early in this deal right now. I'm coming up on 6 months since the relapse. And this time everything has been different. It's gotta be. So, and a huge part of that for me is identity. Like this Christmas, I talked about it last week a little bit in the comments, trying to get used to not being there, right? Like, it's weird not being able to just take the kids and go look at Christmas lights or all the other, all the old stuff. But the perspective you guys gave me last week was huge for me. Just being grateful that I've got the opportunity, so that, when it's time for them to come find me, I'm ready. And, and I've still got contact with my kids. I still see them, on Sundays I get to see them. And I know I put their mothers through hell with all this stuff. And that's another thing that, that I'm working through. The relationships, the damage I caused, the ungrateful ass attitude, treating people around you like shit, because again, I was completely lost, man, sick, broken, lost in every capacity. The people that were there for me the most, that did the most, that lied for me, covered for me, did what they could to try to protect me in their own way. I did the most damage to them, trying to figure out who the hell I was. So now this time I've got everything removed. You know what I mean? Being in sober living in a halfway house, I'm completely removed from everything. I have no choice but to focus on Mike and dig through the step work and work with my sponsor and figure out who the hell I am and why I do the same shit that I've always done that doesn't work, that I know doesn't work, that, it got me here. So I'm super grateful. I'm grateful for this topic. I'm grateful for everything that's happened in my story up to this point. That's let me finally get some kind of recovery. This is the first time in my life that I feel like I'm actually going up. Like, I'm actually getting better. Like, there's progress. I sat stagnant for so many years. And even before the addiction stuff started, I wasn't propelling anywhere. I was maintaining that same slope. Just go to work, come home, is this piss for years. Like, that's all you do. That's what you do. I thought that's what you do. That's not living, man. I didn't get sober to be miserable. It's a cliche in the rooms. Everybody's heard it. But I need to remember that. Like, I need that reminder that I did not get sober to be miserable. And for me, what that looks like is gratitude in the morning, first thing when I get up. When I forget to send the gratitude list, my whole day sucks. Like, I don't even realize that it's happening. And then I'll, like, 2:00, I'll go, why am I being such a dick to everybody? That, like, why didn't I hold the door for that guy? What an ass. And then I'll think, oh shit, I never sent a gratitude. God damn it. So that's what that looks like for me. Like, figuring out who Mike is today is about doing my gratitude first thing when I wake up. It's about surrendering literally everything, like everything I don't have control over, which is everything that's not me. And remembering that, like, who I am today is more patient. I'm nicer now. Like, that's part of my identity is listening to people a minute longer, or sticking around an extra couple minutes to, even if I don't want to. So for me, that's what an identity crisis is about. And I'm super excited, man. I'm super stoked and super grateful for this trajectory that I'm on, and to see where it ends up. I get excited when I wake up now. I remember when I was just sober and not doing any recovery, I'd wake up instantly pissed off, and I wouldn't get out of bed till like 8. Like, what grown man gets out of bed at 8 every day? But I get out of bed at 8, mad as shit. Like, I'm not going to work. I don't want to do this. I can't do this anymore. And just all the negative, and it made me who I was. Like, you talk about identity crisis. That's what you think is what you become, right? And for me, that was so true. Like, like, when you look at the world through a broken lens, and your perception of everything is so negative and so just shit all the time, that's what you produce, negative shit all the time. So I'm able, at this point, being removed from everything, I'm able to figure out who the hell Mike is again. And it feels good, man. I'm happier today with, like, everything I own fits in a backpack for the most part. And I'm happier now than I was a year ago when I had everything, and I get sad. We all get big sad, right? Like, I miss my kids. I miss the relationships I had, but that'd be bullshitting if I said I didn't. But I'm happier today, like, on the inside, than I've been in 15 years, 17 years. You know what I mean? Because I'm able to figure out who the hell I am today, every day. And it's a thing I got to do multiple times a day. That old Mike creeps back in and I can feel it. I'm like, fuck that guy. You're like, wait a minute. No, that guy. He's not that bad. That guy's not, give him a shot, So that's what that looks like for me. Being patient, being grateful, and open-minded. That's what I got.
Mike, I'm absolutely happy you came on, man. I love your perspective. I love everything about what you just said, dude. That is just like unreal raw, right? That's the facts right there. It's being fresh back into this, man. You got fresh eyes. You know what I mean? It's when you get those fresh eyes, man, and like you can see like a brighter future. You feel different every day. That gratitude shit, man, works. Thank you, Caesar. And Nate, we all do it together now, and like it helps, man. It really, really changes the day, the perspective, the mindset, the mental health aspect of it. It literally does. It changes your whole attitude. And I love that you are growing in this thing, man, and I can see an awesome change in you, Mike. I really, really can, and I freaking am just happy to be along for the ride with you. You know what I mean? Like, it helps me.
Hey, you're driving, bro.
Huh?
I said you're driving. You're not just along for the ride. You're the driver.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pan?
You're helping. Yeah, no pain.
Y'all gonna crash.
It's a little joke, man. A little jokey joke.
One thing I wanted to bring up while we were talking about the gratitude list. Another thing about that, the thing to concentrate on for the day is a thing like once I type it for whatever, it's manifesting, right? Once I type it, now that's a thing that I remember 7 times that day. Like, well, I told Justin this morning I was going to do this, so I got to do it. Like I said, I was going to do it, so I got to do it. You know what I mean? And that shit keeps me accountable. So that's like, to me, that's the most important part of the whole deal. Like the whole gratitude list thing is the what I'm going to concentrate on for the day. Because I remember even just yesterday I was pulling from it. Like just remembering that I said it makes me accountable and makes me do it. So I really love that stuff, man. It really helps me a lot for sure.
I'll be on Facebook like, Mike, you're being a dick, dude. You're not living up to what you said, bro.
Right? Yeah, call me out, bro. That's how that's how the deal works. I need a reminder too. I'm not fucking perfect. Everybody knows I'm a dick. You know what I mean? I got a big heart though. Good
stuff, man. I'm gonna read some comments. I'm gonna let Mr. Caesar share on this topic. Let's see, where was we got Dustin says, thank you, Nate. I'm covered up Nate. I'm gonna put Nate right here. All right, there we go. Thank you, Nate. That really does mean a lot to me, man. It was great to see you and love that meeting. It's the first time I've been in a while. I don't know, part of me just feels like I'm unworthy of the blessings of my life. The amazing friends and the amazing family opportunities I've been afforded have just been incredible. And when it comes down to it, it's a fear of failure, a fear that I won't succeed in helping people the way I want to, or that I will let them down. I will let down those closest to me. It's all false. That you won't let anybody down, dude. Just keep doing you. That's it. Let's see. We got Karen says, congratulations, brother. Keep up the great efforts, works, and accomplishments. We got Shannon says, grateful you made it back, Mike. As long as there is breath, there is hope, and you are a hope shot, my friend. Congrats on 6 months. We got Beth says, proud of you, Mike. And we got Michael Davidson. He says, I used to think I was completely identified by my mistakes, but the truth of this process has allowed me to the simplicity of knowing that just because I've done bad things doesn't make me a bad person. Just because I've made mistakes doesn't make me a mistake. And I hope everyone new can see and hear this. Mike, thank you for bringing that up. That is so freaking true. Like, we are not our mistakes, and we identify in that as well, man. Like, there's no the judge and jury. We already made the judge and jury. We freaking already sentenced us to life in prison without parole, right? Like, we need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves first so we can keep moving forward, man. That's it, man. I still hold some shame and guilt from past mistakes that I want to amend, and it's a lifelong process sometimes to amend those things. We just got to keep the best foot in front of us and don't look back, man. We got Steve, man. Oh man, it's good to see you. What's up, The Shot? Good to see you guys. Merry Christmas. And 2023, we will be a breakout year, my friends. Thank you. Love you. Love you guys. Love you too, Steve, man. Good to see you here. We got Karen says, if no one told you, I will. I'm proud of each and every one of us that showed up consistently on kicking and conquering negativity and addictions butts. Thank you, Karen. You too. Thank you for being here tonight, man. Shooting these little inspirational pieces, man. They really help. We got Phil Tyler. Good evening, fellas. What's up, my friend? Good to see you, my friend. All right, Caesar, we're gonna put you back up. I'm gonna put you up there. Don't put me up here too.
Well, thank you for putting me up top. So I like what Mike Davidson said. That's well, let me go back. So early on, I like to go back same way Nate goes back. I didn't have an identity. I was whoever I thought you wanted me to be. I was whoever I thought you thought was cool, or I was whoever I thought would serve me best to get me what I want. I was always a fraud and I had no identity. And then to what Mike Davidson said, my identity became my addiction and my mistakes. I was a junkie piece of shit. That's what I identified as. That's what I was. That's what I called myself. And I never truly had an identity of my own until I got into recovery. So I get into this deal, and the same thing, that we told Mike last week. I started building a foundation. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any distractions. Everything you can say was taken away from me, or I gave it away, whichever way you want to look at it. I had nothing left. No one wanted to talk to me. Nobody was visiting me anymore. I had nothing left but the hope that I could find recovery through this guy that carried the message. And I did what I was told. I worked diligently, and I got out of that facility. And I based my life on recovery. Recovery came first. And that's when I started to build an identity as the guy that's always at that meeting, or the guy that unlocks the door and makes the coffee. And eventually it became, oh man, that's a good guy. He's a good dude, man. You should talk to him if you're new. And then that builds a little bit of confidence, and it makes you feel good when somebody says good words about you, because most of my life, nobody had anything good to say about me. Felt like they were talking about somebody else for a long time. There were some good things. We can place our identity as our jobs. I don't know so much that I've done that, but my job can be all consuming, and my previous one to this can be all consuming. But today, my identity is a person in long-term recovery. My identity is a person that can be of service and of help. My identity is a father, a husband, and a friend. And that's it. And if I'm a good friend, father, husband, and a person that's of service, that's enough. That's enough for me. I don't have to be anything more than that. I don't have to be Caesar the Great Roofer. I don't have to be this or that. I just have to be a good guy that's willing to help other people. And that's what I want my identity to be. I want people to be able to approach me and ask for help. I want to be of service. I want my kids to look at me and say, man, you know what? I love you, Daddy. You never miss a game. You never miss this. You're always there. I want my wife to know that there's stability in this home. I don't want her to have to worry about anything. I want to do my part. And I never did. I never did that before. I was afraid of everything. If anything looked scary, or like I couldn't be good at it, or if I wasn't going to win, or whatever it was, I ran away from it. I don't know if y'all can relate to this. I knew there was a court date coming. And I'd be like, man, I hope they don't. I hope they just forget about me. And those are the only people that don't forget about you. A few days later, they're at the door. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not that important. Maybe they'll forget about me and they won't violate me. I avoided everything. And today I face everything. And that's how I get stronger. So, placing my identity in something that's a job or in a person or anything else, or how I dress or any of that gets me nowhere because those things are temporary. Building my identity off principles that are spiritual in nature builds me up to where it doesn't matter what job I have. It doesn't matter what goes on outside of me. As long as I'm balanced, I am exactly who I want to be and who I'm supposed to be. We talk about being authentically awkward. I fully embrace who I am today. I'm a goofball, I'm a mess some days, other days I'm on point, but that's who I am. And I don't have to hide it. I don't have to put a mask on in the morning and pretend to be somebody else. I can say I don't know and be okay with that. I don't have to come up with some BS answer to pretend like I know. And all of that came from this recovery process. I didn't have any of this before. All I did was pretend to be something. And I promise you, it is the most freeing feeling in the world to not have to pretend. I don't have to impress anybody. I think it was Raylene that said, except God, but I'll add in, I would like to impress my family. I want to be a good father, a good friend, a good husband. But those are all good intentions that drive me to do better each day. This stuff didn't happen overnight. I didn't stop feeling like I was a piece of crap overnight. It takes a lot of doing good to be able to take the compliment that somebody says, hey man, he's a good dude. I felt like they were talking about somebody else for many, many years. Imposter syndrome. This is the second time in my 2 different jobs that I've had or career that I've been promoted to a point where I had a bunch of people under me. And I'm like, I'm in charge. We're all screwed if I'm in charge. There's no way I can do this. But the fact is, I can. All I have to do is show up and give my best effort. That's it. That's all that's expected of me. Show up and give my best effort. Will I make mistakes? Yes. Will I run away because of the mistakes? No, I'll face them the next day. I'll say, hey, I messed this up. What's the right way to do this? And I get to grow again and I get to learn from something else. So if you're new, don't worry about 5 years and 10 years down. Mike, you were talking about, I don't know what that's going to look like in 5 years or what wife's going to come, or if this. Focus on what you can do today, because I did that future tripping and my sponsor was asking me some questions and it was like around football season and stuff. And I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, man, when I get out of here. Like, you mean like never drink again, ever, never, ever, ever? Like, I don't know what that looks like. Like, how do I spend my time? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do that. How am I going to fill my time? He told me, just focus on today, man. Make it through the day and be the best version of yourself that you can be today. Tomorrow's going to come or it's not going to come. One way or the other. All you've got is the moments that you're living right now. And I don't want to regret the moments that I'm living. So I try to make myself available and I try to be the best version of myself that I can every day. And then everything else comes into play with that. The gratitude list in the morning, taking quiet time to pray and go through my day at night so that I can be better. Because if I don't take a look inward and see what I did for that day, whose toes I stepped on, if I could have done better somewhere, if I don't analyze it, which I don't do it the way Nate does, I do it mentally. I take some quiet time at night and I go through my day in my head when I'm doing my prayers. And I go, oh crap, did I procrastinate? Yes, I procrastinated. There was 2 or 3 things that I could have got done and I pushed them to the side and stared at Facebook for an hour, or whatever I did. And I remember those things. And then you guys were talking about accountability. Once you're in this deal for a little while, all the people that propped you up and all the people that are in these gratitude lists and all of that, that becomes another motivation. You don't want to let them down. Then all of a sudden you've got people looking up to you. Well, I don't want people to look up to me and me be a complete flop or failure. So there's another layer of accountability and drive that comes from that, because I want to be good for them, and I want to be good for my family, and I just want to be of maximum service, and I can't be of maximum service if I'm cutting corners and being an asshole. So I have to be better. And that's where the identity rooted in recovery and rooted in principles shines. It doesn't matter what the external things are. It doesn't matter what I'm doing as a job, what my career is, what I drive. None of that stuff matters if I'm just okay with who I am. And I'm only okay with who I am when I'm doing what I need to do in recovery, if that makes any sense. So I guess that's basically all I got.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, man. It that's one thing, is like we as long as we're putting our best foot in, all we can do is try. We try to be good people, man. Every day we put our best foot in front of the other, man, and just try to live up to the expectations that we are realistic expectations. You know what I mean? Because I'm really good at putting some retarded expectations on myself, because I'm supposed to be this perfect individual that freaking does nothing wrong, and it'll fuck me up even worse, but the best foot in front of the other, man. Live up to those things. Like, if we say it, do it, having meaning behind it, has substance. Let's see. We got, oh man, we go down here a little bit. We got Mike says, question, and you can answer this, Caesar. Talking about identity, how important do you think it is to be able to truly identify ourselves as an addict or a person in recovery? Change language, not just in meetings but in the outside world, to recover out loud, pretty much.
How important do I think it is? If nobody knows I'm working a recovery program, then how would they know to ask me for help? That's why I choose to share my recovery out loud. Do I think it's important to go around and tell everybody that I'm an addict or I'm an alcoholic? No, but I think it's important for people to know that I'm in recovery. Now, internally, it's very important for me to remember what I am, because quickly I can forget where I came from. So as far as, do I identify as an alcoholic or an addict or any of those things, or a person with substance use disorder? Yes. And I need to be reminded daily that that's what I am, so I don't ever think that I'm normal and can go try one of anything, because I've done that in the past. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think it's important for people to know that I'm a person in long-term recovery. But you have to be able to pick and choose how you do that. Not everybody needs or wants to hear that, but I'm fortunate enough to be on this platform where I can share it to the people who want to hear it and may need to hear it. At my job, do I need to stand on a soapbox and say, hey, I'm in recovery, man? Probably not. But the people that are struggling at my work, they know, because I want them to know that there's a better way. And, I'm in construction industry, and drugs and alcohol are rampant. And I let them know where I stand and what I do. So that way, if they ever do want help, I'm not going to force it on them, but they know that I'm available.
Yeah, no, and I will say that, because everybody thinks that like everybody's on drugs and alcohol, to be honest with you. So, and it's true, because like most people are, like, even people that don't think they have a problem, like they have a problem, and it's like they just don't know it yet. You don't know it until you're aware of it. So it's like they don't, but it's nice to know that there's other people out there that like been through the ringer, and who to go to. It's the go-to people, like it's first aid kit, it's the freaking fire alarm, it's the freaking, it's all those things. It's like, Caesar, you're that guy. I'm that guy.
If we keep our mouths closed, how do they know we're that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. There's no break glass if emergency arises.
Do you remember when we figured out, oh man, a bunch of people I know, when we were in the networking meeting, and it was like the coolest moment. We were like, oh my God, you're me and I'm you. Like,
Oh my God.
It was. I was like,
why do we have 100 and something people in common? Oh wait, they're all recovery people.
I was like, I know this guy's up to something.
I'm up to something.
What about you, Nate? Man, you wanna take any part in this question? And Mike, you can too after Nate, if you guys want to take part in this thing. And why is it important to recover out loud?
If I may, I think Caesar kind of touched on anything I would have. on that question. I just wanted to kind of reround to something that Dustin said, and then Caesar touched on it in his first share too. And it got me to thinking, like, because you hear that a lot, fear of failure, and I used to get stuck in that, like thinking, what if I fail? But the longer I've been doing this, what I finally understand and realized, like, and it's a pretty revolutionary like discovery is I don't have a fear of failure. I have a fear of success, because guess what? I have no idea what that looks like. And anything that I don't know what it is or how it looks or where I belong in it, I am terrified of. I know failure. I'm very familiar with him. Like I know that back and forth. I have no confusion about what that is or how that looks. But what I don't know is what success looks like, and what freedom looks like, and what honesty and character and integrity and all these things, like, and especially in when it comes to business, or just my role in a community, or whatever that looks like, however success looks like to you. But yeah, that's where my fear lies. Like that's the true fear, not in failure, but of what it looks like if I don't fail. Because where do I fit in there, and how do I continue to fit in there once I get there, however that looks,
True that. What about you, Mike?
So about recovering out loud and about identifying as an addict. A lot, like, we see people in the rooms that a lot of times you'll hear them like, I'm Mike, and they don't. There's a guy that was close to me, we'll leave it at that, recently, that refused to identify as an addict because he was of the opinion that this guy was definitely an addict, but he was of the opinion that once you admit you're an addict, now you have an excuse, now you have a way out. And I felt like reaching in his head and saying, turn it around. But like for me anyway, I know for me, being able to speak it out loud and say, yeah, I'm a fucking addict. Like, I'm unmanageable. My shit is unmanageable without drugs. That gives me my power back, right? Like admitting that I'm powerless gives me my power back. So for me, it's super important. It's the most important part of the meeting for me. Hi, I'm Mike and I'm an addict. Like, the problem is me still. I'm still the issue. My other bullshit is still my problem. The drugs were just, like we all know, was the solution. But I also think that recovering out loud is super important, because there's a lot of people, like, you hear a lot of people come in the rooms that are in recovery that say the same thing. I had no idea NA existed. I had no idea AA existed. Or I had no idea that any of this was a thing. And I feel like and I get why it's anonymous and I understand all that, but I feel like if we were all a little bit louder about it, maybe less people would die out there alone, like with no hope and no lighthouse. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So for me, I recover out loud because it happens. Like, even in, the year I had, and then the new 6 months I get people probably 3 or 4 times a week that reach out like, hey, and I'm not the guy to listen to, man. Like, I just relapsed 6 months ago. You know what I mean? But here are some resources. Just happened again the other day. Even, all the way back in Michigan, I'm from Detroit, even all the way back there, I can still find resources for people and send them that way because I know where to find it, right? Like, because I've done this shit. I'm living it. So recovering out loud lets me be of service to people that need it. And also another thing that I used to hear my old sponsor say, when people ask us for help, they think we're helping them, right? Like, but for me, and it helps me more than I can ever even imagine I'm helping somebody else, because it puts me right back in that position, right? Like day one, like, holy shit, this is scary stuff. But here's what these guys taught me how to do. Maybe it'll work for you, but you have to do what they did. Otherwise we're all screwed. So I don't ever shy away from recovering out loud, and I never will. And I'm a pretty vocal, like, you guys have seen my Facebook. I'm a pretty vocal dude. If you don't like it, call your sponsor, right? Like, I stole that from somebody, but I don't care. I'm fucking shameless. But it's one of those things. Like, if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you, because keeping people ashamed, that whole stigma, we're trying to stomp out stigma, right? Keeping people ashamed is keeping people sick.
Yep.
And I refuse to be quiet for that reason. I'm going to scream it until I can't. And, that's kind of where I'm at.
All right, man. Well, thanks, Mike. So I have a couple comments, and then if that's it, man, we'll wrap it up. Let's see. We got Karen. Her perspective is, I think it's an appreciatively honorable blessing to recover out loud, and yes, it is. And she said it's part of turning our pains into power, our lessons into blessings by recovering out loud, turning our test and testimony and our mess into an encouraging, inspirational message. We got Sandra says identity tends to fall short when we don't build on a firm foundation of getting real with ourselves. Hell yeah. Time to get real. Phil Tyler says, I searched for identity in the world, money, drugs, and even my recovery time. But it wasn't until I realized I am new creation in Jesus that I started to grow and find purpose in serving his people and following God's will for my life. By his grace, I have been in recovery, living one day at a time since 10/15/2010. I point to the cross because I can't boast in anything but that. God's grace and his unconditional love definitely saved my butt. Congratulations, Phil Tyler, man. You're making freaking waves out there, dude. Thank you for sticking around. Let's see. We got Raylene says, Phil Tyler, same here. We got Michael Davison. Love the answer. Thanks, Caesar. We got Justin McFadden. That's my arch nemesis because they always make me him with his name. I told you guys. I told you. My whole life I've been called him. Justin and Caesar are the man. Let's see. We got Raylene says it's all about recovering out loud. Yes, it is. So we got Melissa. Good to see you. Thank you for all that you do, Hope Shot family. Sending love into everyone out there. We got Karen says we must sling encouragingly inspirational hope instead of dope by recovering out loud. We got Dustin says, love you, Melissa. Hope you had a great week. This is Sandra says, yay, Phil. And then we got Phil Tyler says, love your brothers. God bless you all. Thanks for sharing. All right, man. We're going to end it with that. Phil Tyler, wrapping it up. Well, thank you all for being here tonight, man, listening to us speak about this identity crisis that's going around, all around us, man. All around us is happening. And, people are in a crisis mode sometimes. But there's ways around it, the ways to get through it. If you get yourself in that pickle maybe this week, man, get like that little glimpse of identity crisis, man. Just like bring it back, man. Call your sponsor, pray about it. Talk to your people, man, your support group, man. Get back connected, whatever that looks like. Maybe you're in it right now and you need to get reconnected. Go back to the basics, go back to what you did when you first got here and get out of your shit, And I hope you guys have a great week. I'm going to schedule this live for next Sunday now. So click going so you get notified. And we will see you next Sunday at 8 o'clock right here on the Hope Shot, man. I love you guys. You guys have an amazing week. See you.
Good night.